Bright Cutie. Every student matters.
Hello students. Stars and the solar system. This is a very interesting chapter, especially for the students who have an interest in astronomy. So let us start with the chapter as the name suggests, that it is about the stars and the solar system. Basically, stars you must have seen in the night sky. If you go at night on your terrace and you look at the sky, you see a number of shining stars in the sky, right? You see many stars, especially in small towns, not in the cities, because cities have a very polluted sky. But if you are present in a smaller town or in a village, you will be seeing a very clean sky, in which you will be able to see a lot of stars as well, which are very shiny. So students, why are we not able to look at the stars during the daytime? Because the sunlight is very bright and hence we are not able to look at the stars. Now, every star, students, has its own light. The stars produce their own light. So, because the sun is the closest star to us, so the light of sun overshines the light of other stars, and hence we are not able to look at the stars during daytime, right? So, this is what a night sky looks like. There are a number of stars which are visible to you. So, students, what do we see in the night sky? What all things are present in the night sky that you see, but you do not exactly know what those objects are? So let us see. The objects which do not twinkle are planets. Planets, as Earth is also a planet. Earth does not shine at all. So this is because Earth is a planet. Planets do not shine. So students, the moon is the brightest object in the night sky. If you look at the night sky, the moon appears to be the brightest object. Why is that so? Now students, moon also does not have its own light. Moon does not produce its own light. Moon is also visible to us because of the phenomenon of reflection of light. We will be discovering that in this chapter also, that how is moon visible to us and why are we not able to look at the moon during the daytime. Now the stars, the planets, the moon and many other objects in the sky are known as the celestial objects. The objects present in the sky are known as celestial objects. What are these objects? Let us look at this picture and give some reference to you. Stars, planets, moons. Now what do you understand by moons? Students, each and every planet has its own number of moons. Our Earth has one, but other planets have several moons as well. Saturn has 16 moons. So we refer to them as moons. Then asteroids and comets, nebulae, star clusters, galaxies, pulsars, quasars, black holes and dark matter. Now these are all the objects that are present in the sky. We are able to see them, but we are not able to differentiate between them because we have not yet studied about them. So students, these are all the objects that are present in the sky, and together they are known as celestial objects. You have to remember that even moon does not shine because of its own light, and planets do not shine at all. Only stars are the objects that produce light. Now students, what is astronomy? The study of celestial objects is known as, the study of celestial objects and phenomena, associated phenomena, is known as astronomy. The branch of science that deals with the study of celestial objects is known as the astronomy, right? Whatever phenomena occurs on those celestial objects or in between the celestial objects, the study of those phenomena and also of those celestial objects is combined in a combined form known as astronomy. In ancient India, our ancestors performed methodical observations of the sky. We have been very advanced in our science since ancient times. People could look at the sun and tell the time. So, we have always been so advanced. Hence, in ancient India, our ancestors performed methodical observations of the sky. Passage of the sun, stars, moon and planets in the sky helped them to devise calendars and almanacs. Now, what is an almanac? Almanac is the schedule of special occasions or festivals. This is a calendar that tells us about the special occasions on which they are supposed to happen. So they could prepare these calendars and almanacs with the help of the passage of sun, moon or stars in the sky. So they have they had a very advanced technology related to this kind of astronomy basically, used by people in their day to conduct and a better understanding of climate and rainfall patterns for timely sowing and choice of crops, fixing the dates of seasons and festivals. This not only helped them to make calendars, this also told them about the climate, the rainfall patterns, which ultimately helped them in agricultural purposes. They could decide what kind of crop they should grow on what kind of land, on what season basically. So these were all the applications of the astronomy, of the methodical observations of the sky, right? So this is what astronomy is, and this is how astronomy started in India. What were the applications of astronomy in India? The moon. You know what moon is. You see the moon daily in the night, right? Moon is this kind of a looking object. This moon orbits our planet Earth, right? Moon orbits our planet Earth. What does that mean? That if this is the Earth, then this is the moon, and it moves round and round around our planet Earth. This is the motion of the moon. Now, moon is the brightest object in the night sky. You must have seen the night sky, and moon is present as the brightest object. Now, also students, you must have seen that moon is not always of the same size. The size and shape of the moon keeps changing, right? You have seen that. Let us study about the phases of moon now. These are the phases of moon in which the moon keeps changing the size and shape of itself. Students, the various shapes of the brightest part of the moon as seen during a month are called the phases of the moon. You have seen that sometimes moon is a whole circle, then sometimes it's a half circle, sometimes it's a crescent moon. It does not mean that the rest of the moon just disappears. It is still present there, but we are not able to see it. It is not visible to us. So, what do we refer to as the phases of moon? The phases, the various shapes of the bright part of the moon. You are looking at the bright part of the moon only, and you are not able to see the rest of the dark part. Hence, you are able to see only a part of the moon. It does not mean that rest of the part is not present there. Part of the moon as seen during a month are called the phases of moon. During a month, the moon changes its sizes a lot many times. Let us see how. The day on which the whole disk of the moon is visible is known as the full moon day. In Hindu calendars, we also call it as Purnima. On Purnima or on the full moon day, the moon looks like the picture first of this phases of the moon. Picture 1 refers to the full moon day. Thereafter, every night, the size of the brighter part of the moon appears to become thinner and thinner. As you can look in the pictures itself, this was a whole circle. Then the size has been reduced to this part, now to half, and then to a very small part as compared to the whole moon. So now you can relate that what are we talking about basically. Now, what do you see in these pictures? That the moon is the complete circle still, right? This is the actual moon, but you are only able to look at, let me mark this with another color, you are only able to look at this part of the moon in this picture, this part of the moon in this picture, and this part of the moon in this picture. This means that you are able to look at only the bright part of the moon. Now, how this happens is something we are going to discuss later, but you have to understand that you are only able to look at the bright part. This part is not visible to us, this part in this case and this part in this case, because there is no light falling onto the back side of the moon or that side of the moon which is not visible to you. We are only able to see the part of the moon on which there is the fall of light, right? Now, as the size decreases, as the size of the moon decreases from full moon day to the half of the month, the next phase that comes is on the 15th day, the moon is not visible. In Hindu calendars, we refer to this day as Amavasya. Amavasya is a day, new moon day basically. There is no moon. You cannot see the moon in the sky. This day is known as the new moon day, right? The full moon day is when you can see the complete form of the moon, whereas the new moon day is when the moon actually disappears. You are not able to look at the moon in the sky. The next day, only a small portion of the moon appears in the sky. Now, you have seen this was the first picture, then this was the second picture, which basically means that this is something that happens on the the next phase is the second picture, then further next phase is the third picture, then fourth phase is the fourth picture. Now for the fifth phase is new moon day, on which the moon is not visible. Hence the fifth phase is no picture of the moon. Then the sixth phase is this picture. What is happening here? You are again able to look at a partial part of the moon, only a part of the moon basically. This is the part visible to you. Although there is the moon present as the whole, but you are only able to look at only a part of the moon which is bright to you. Then the next phase is when the moon becomes half. This is the seventh phase basically. The moon is still complete. Moon never disappears. The moon is such a large body, it just cannot disappear. The half of the planet cannot disappear and regrow, right? So we are just not able to look at it because of the lack of light. Then this is the eighth phase, in which the size has further increased of the brighter part. The actual size of the moon is this. And then ninth phase is again the full moon day. This is again the full moon day. Now the next day of new moon day is the time when we see a small portion of the moon that appears in the sky. This is known as the crescent moon. Right, students? Then again moon grows larger every day, from this to this, then this to this. And then on the 15th day once again we get the full view of the moon. This is the full moon day. So these are the different phases of the moon, students, right? Now, importance of the phases of moon. Why are we talking about these phases? What is the reason? How is it important to us? Almost all festivals in India are celebrated according to the phases of the moon. Especially, for example, Diwali. Let us see how Diwali is related to the phases of moon. Diwali is celebrated on a new moon day. On the new moon day. Diwali is on the new moon day. Then Budh Purnima, as the name suggests, and Guru Nanak's birthday are celebrated on a full moon day. Obviously, full moon means Purnima. So, whenever a festival has Purnima in its name, it means that it is being celebrated on the full moon day. Then Mahashivratri is celebrated on the 13th night of the waning of moon. Right? Then Eid ul-Fitr is observed on the day following the sighting of crescent moon. After the next day, the day you see the crescent moon, the next day is celebrated as the Eid ul-Fitr. So now you understand that how the phases of moon are important to the different mythologies, different cultures, different religions. The time period between one full moon to the next full moon is slightly longer than 29 days. In many calendars, this period is also known as a month. So, the time period between one full moon and to the next full moon is basically approximately near a month, right? Now, the moonlight that you see at night, the moon appears to be very bright to us, right? It is the brightest object in the night sky. But the moonlight is actually the sunlight. You have to understand what we are talking about here. Moonlight is not the moonlight. Basically, the light that is coming to us from the moon is not the light of moon. It is the light of sun. Now, how is that possible at all? Let us see. Look at the picture 1. This is the sun, this is the moon, and this is the earth. Right? Now, this part of the earth is having night time. Now, students, the rays from sun that are falling onto the moon are reflected into many different directions. The rays that fall onto earth, there is a certain region on which of the earth on which the rays of this reflected rays from the sun fall on the earth, At that portion, the moon is visible very bright, right? So let us look at the picture 2 now. This is the sun and these are all the rays coming from the sun. This is the moon, right students? Now, as this part of the earth is towards the sun, so this part is having day. The second part of the earth is not in front of the sun, so this part is having night. Now the moon is present here. The light rays fall onto the moon and these light rays are reflected back to the earth's surface. Right. Now due to the reflection, the moon, it appears that moon is throwing light towards us. So it was assumed earlier that moon also has some light source, moon also has its own light. But it does not happen like that. The light rays are coming directly from the sun, then reaching the moon and then getting reflected towards the earth. And where the rays fall, the moon appears to be very bright. Right? So hence this is how we are able to look at the moon due to the process of reflection of light. The light comes from the sun, reaches the moon and then gets reflected towards the earth. Right? So you can now imagine what amount of light there is present on the sun, which basically makes the whole moon glow. Right? So there is a lot of energy, a lot of light present on the sun, that is also the part of our solar system. Right students? So this is how moon is visible to us. Now remember that the moon revolves around the earth. The earth along with the moon revolves around the sun. You have to remember, look at the picture now. This is the sun. Let me mark it with a different color. This is the sun. Now what is happening? This is the planet Earth in the orbit. Earth is revolving around the sun. Now due to this procedure, we obtain seasons during the whole year, right? Now what is happening, the next thing that you have to study is that this is the moon and this moon is in turn revolving around the earth. Right? So there are two kinds of revolutions. First one is in which the earth is revolving around the sun. The second one is in which the moon is revolving around the earth. Right? So you have to imagine the kind of motion in which the moon is. Moon is revolving around the earth and it is also a part of the bigger orbit in which the earth is revolving around the sun. Right? You can imagine different positions. Now the moon is here. Now the moon is here somewhere. Wherever moon can be present at any angle to the earth and to the sun, due to which we obtain the different phases of moon as well. Now this is how we understand the phases of moon. Understanding the phases of moon, for this you have to do a little activity which will make you understand better. What do you have to do? You have to go to the ground nearby and you have to make a circle with the radius of 2 meters. Right? You have to make a circle with a radius of 2 meters. Now what do you do next? You make your friend stand at the center. Right? And then another friend of yours has a football in her hand and is rotating, is revolving along the circle and revolving around this girl, around the center of the girl, around the center of the circle basically. She has to take care that the football always faces the girl. There should be only one part of the football that is facing the girl. Right? This part is only visible to the girl standing here. Now, is this possible for the girl to look at this part? No, the girl can only look at the first part of the football. Now students, what are we understanding? This is basically the motion of moon, right? There is sun present, there is earth present, and there is moon present. Now let us see what is the scientific reason behind it. There is a picture in front of you. This is the planet Earth. Planet Earth is present here. This is sun, right? Now students, this is basically the moon. What is happening? This is the moon revolving around the earth, right? Now what is happening? These are the sun rays. This refers to this one, 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 and this refers to this one. Now what is happening? This is the first picture, refer to the first moon that is present in front of you, starting from the right corner. Here, this is the complete moon, right? But the sun rays are falling only onto this part, because this moon is very close to the sun and the rest of the part is facing opposite to the sun. Only this part is the part where the rays are falling very efficiently. So, we only are able to look at this part of the moon, and hence we see a crescent moon. When the moon is present at such a position, we only see a crescent moon. Then, when the moon revolves further and comes to this position, this is the portion visible to us, because this is the portion where the light is falling, right? And this is the complete moon basically, but we are only able to look at the half moon because of the sun rays getting reflected towards us, right? When the rays are falling here, only this part will be able to reflect, right? When the rays are falling here, this whole part will be able to reflect. When the moon is present here, this is the part. Now you can see the size of the moon is increasing, right? This is the actual moon, while this is the part visible to us. So this whole part reflects light back to the earth, and hence we are able to see this much size of the moon. Then comes this time, when the moon is present just behind the earth. Basically the earth is in between, right? Now what is happening? Now we are able to look at the whole moon, right? Because the light falls easily on the complete moon, and hence we are able to look at the moon completely, and hence this is the day of full moon, right? Now next is, then again moon moves to this part. Now again the rays are falling, and we are able to look at this part only. This is the whole moon. We are only able to look at this part, and hence the light reflects back. Now we are able to look at the half moon. As we move on to the phases, the size of the moon will further decrease, right? Then we come back to the crescent moon, after which we get back to the stage when we are not able to see any moon, and hence this day is known as new moon day. The full moon day is known as Purnima, and the new moon day is known as Amavasya. You can ask your mother that, you may be able to understand what I am talking about even more clearer, even in a clearer way. So these are the different phases of moon, and this is how we obtain them, because of the reflection of sunlight at different angles due to the different positions of moon with respect to earth and sun, right? We have to take both of them into consideration. This picture basically shows us the position of moon in its orbit and its corresponding phases. The moon completes one rotation on its axis as it completes one revolution on the earth. The moon is also rotating on its axis and revolving around the earth as well. Do you understand? This is the earth. It is revolving around the earth just fine, but it is also rotating around its axis, right? This is same as that of the earth. Earth also does the same. It rotates around its own axis and also around the sun, right? The motion around the axis is known as rotation, and the motion in the orbit is known as revolution. When you are revolving around some other body, it is known as revolution. When you are rotating around your own axis, it is known as rotation. Now students, the moon's surface is the next topic that we have to study. The moon's surface is dusty and barren. What does this mean? That there is no life present at moon. No life. The land is barren. There is no plant life or animal life at the moon. It is a dead planet. There are many craters of different size. As you can see, these are craters, right? There are basically the ditches present in the ground. Then the moon has no atmosphere. There is no air, no oxygen, no carbon dioxide, no nitrogen. So there is nothing present around the moon. There is no atmosphere. Hence, when our astronauts go, they take plenty of oxygen with them in the tanks so that they are able to breathe there. It also has a large number of steep and high mountains. It has very high mountains. Some of these are as high as the mountains of the earth. So there are unevenness, there is unevenness on the surface of moon, but there is no life present on the moon's surface as such. Now on July 21, 1969, in the Indian time basically, the first astronaut landed on the moon, that was Neil Armstrong, right? He was followed by Edwin Aldrin. And this is a picture of an astronaut standing on the surface of the moon. As you can see, it is completely barren, there is no life. And this is how our planet Earth looks like when we look at it from the moon. Also students, from the moon, you can see the phases of Earth as well. You can see that you are not able to look at the complete portion of the Earth. Only this part is visible to you, this part. This is because of, again, the falling of sunlight on the surface of the earth and getting reflected back to the moon, right? So, what have we learnt about the moon's surface? That it is a barren land. There is no atmosphere. There are craters. There are mountains. Basically, there is no life on the moon. The size of moon is also small, and the force of gravity of moon is 1/6 of that of earth. Which means that if you weigh 60 kgs here on the earth, you will weigh 10 kgs on the moon. You will feel 1/6 of the gravity. Hence, when astronauts land on the moon, they sort of jump around because they feel very light. The gravitational pull of moon is 1/6 of that of the planet Earth. So, this was all about the first topic, that is the moon.